First of all, let me give a shout out to my sponsor Longtang. They're an authorized badminton dealer in Hong Kong that sells genuine products at a much lower price than basically any other place. Their stock quantities are actually amazing, so you can probably find any item that you want from their store, but in that small chance that they do not have that thing, just make sure you email them by finding the email at the bottom of their website page. Their website is www.lt328.com. They have international shipping, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world. So if you're in India, they can deliver to India. If you're in America, they can deliver to America. If you're in the UK, they can deliver to the UK. Just absolutely anywhere. Also, you might find that the website has a few currencies, for example, like euros, dollars, and like Hong Kong dollars. But don't worry, just because those are the only 3 currencies that are programmed onto the website, it doesn't mean that if you don't have those currencies in your country, you can't buy anything from it. If you pay online, PayPal will automatically convert their currency into your currency, so you can just pay normally. If you're in Hong Kong, you can visit their shop. Their address is at the bottom of the website page. They offer in-store stringing inside as well, so you can just go in, give them your racket, and just get it strung really quickly. And if you just don't want to get something strung, you could just browse the amazing and huge selection of stuff that they have. It just ranges from accessories like such as key rings all the way to like high-end Yonex rackets or just like any other brand rackets. Some of you guys have some inquiries about Longtang, and you know, you can email them or contact me, but you need to kind of understand that they get loads and loads of inquiries because they're a very, very busy shop. Literally every single day they have so many people constantly going in and out of that shop. They're trying their best to kind of like keep up with the amount of inquiries and the orders that they have to deal with already. So please be patient with them and don't get mad at them. Hello YouTube, and today I'll be doing the much awaited Ning Airstream N99 review. Let's get it! So, as you might know, there's like loads and loads of different versions of the Airstream N99, and I happen to be lucky enough to get my hands onto the Chen Gold Medal Limited Edition, which is like super rare, and the colorway absolutely looks amazing. This racket was made for Chen when he won the 2016 Rio Olympics. This racket's design is absolutely phenomenal. I can say this is possibly the best design in a racket that I've ever seen. Everywhere you go with this racket, you'll get looks because it stands out so much, it gleams in the light, it reflects everything, it's like a diamond. So the general finish of this racket is a glossy finish. Glossy finishes tend to not last as long as matte finishes for some reason, but it's fine because I generally take care of my racket quite well anyway. So on the very, very top of the racket, you can see it says Airstream with 2 imitation black lines, which are meant to be like holes. At first I kind of thought they were actual holes until I put my finger over it. Then I realised, oh, it's just a print. This racket is predominantly red, but there's some gold parts. As you move slightly down the racket where the tri-voltage system would be on the Yonex rackets, you can kind of see a kind of scaly, snaky design in gold that reflects light. So as you move the racket in a very, very bright light, it's basically a rainbow. On the side you can see it says Dynamic Optimum Frame and Aero Beam System. So as you move slightly down the frame again, you can see, I think it says PCP or is it PCF, I'm not 100% sure. Reinforcing technology. It's just another thing that Ning is putting into the racket to strengthen it. As you move down the racket slightly a bit more, you can see that scalic golden shimmery thing. And then on the bottom of the racket, then you have the Airstream holes, which is like part gold and also part red. If you look on the inside of the racket frame, you can see that the golden color is slightly less shimmery and is more dulled down. As you reach the T-joint of the racket, you can see the Ning symbol in gold. Then on the shaft, it continues to have that red gold theme with shimmery scalic patterns, and it says Airstream N99 on one face, HDF shock absorption. And then if you look on the side, you can tell this is like the gold medal edition Chen racket because it says gold medal edition in capital letters and a shimmery golden font. You can also see it says TB Nano and stabilized torsion angle. On the other side of the shaft it says Brazil 2016, and then you have Chen signature and his name printed on the shaft. Then you can also see it says UHB shaft on it. As you move to the control cap, you can kind of see this holographic design where this little circle thing appears to pop out but it's actually flat, and it says Mega Power. This is just to indicate that this racket is in the Mega Power series. Then you have the golden Ning logo once again, and if you look on the other side, then you have the holographic sticker which is used for authentication of this racket. Right under that, on Yonex rackets, normally you'd find like laser imprinted stuff to give you information about the recommended string tensions and also the grip size and the weight of this racket. But Ning decided to make it a cleaner finish by eradicating that, by just putting those specs on a website. This racket comes in a factory white grip. It gets dirty very, very easily and is actually quite slippery to use. I recommend immediately putting on a custom sticky tacky grip or a towel grip. Then if you look onto the bottom of this racket, you can see the Ning logo in a bronze metal finish. It's very, very shiny, just like the other parts of the racket, and it just looks awesome. Surrounding that, you can see like a carbon fiber finish, and I actually suspect this is real carbon fiber on the bottom cap. There's like a layer of thin clear plastic over it to protect it, and yeah, it's good. Because this racket is a special edition, it also comes in a very, very special case. As you can see, the case appears to be made from velvet and is very, very soft, but there's not much padding, so you can't really knock this around. This is mainly for aesthetic purposes. On the racket case, you can see a design where it consists of dragons, flowers, and also various other animals such as butterflies in red, white, and black. And surrounding that, you can see it says Battle for Gold, the Rio de Janeiro, anything is possible Ning Sports. And if you flip the case over, you can see the Ning logo embroidered in silver thread. This racket is actually quite special because they have a very, very unique design. On the racket frame, you can find holes which allows for air to pass through, which allows for lower air resistance. The racket name Airstream is named after the Airstream System, which is basically these holes. It is Ning's personal state-of-the-art technological system that they have produced. It's just like how Yonex produces the dual optimum system or the tri-voltage system. But let me just get onto the other specs first before I tell you more about the Airstream system. This racket comes from the Mega Power series. It is basically Ning's version of the Voltric series. All the rackets in that series are oriented for power and just attack. So most of the rackets there are head heavy balanced and just spec'd in a way to give you maximum power. Ning's classification for grip size and also like the recommended string tension is slightly different from Yonex, so you wouldn't find like G5 or something like this. But on this racket it's actually equivalent to the G5 of Yonex rackets. So on Yonex rackets, you would find the recommended string tension written as like maximum, for example, 24 on the Arc Saber 11. On the Ning rackets, two sets of figures are given to you when it comes to the recommended string tension. For the vertical strings, the recommended tension is between 24 pounds to 28 pounds of tension, whereas the horizontal is recommended from 26 pounds to 30 pounds of tension. So you guys might be wondering, how comes like people want to string their vertical and horizontal strings differently? Well, the answer lies in the fact that this racket is built for singles because Chen is a singles player. And people who play singles tend to string their racket with a slightly lower vertical tension than the horizontal. This makes the racket frame warp slightly into a more egg shape, and it's more suited for singles for some reason. And for more doubles oriented play and rackets, people string the racket with like a higher vertical tension to kind of make the frame slightly more egg-shaped. So as you might know, in the high-end Voltric range of Yonex, you will find very stiff shaft rackets, and that provides control for when you hit smashes and those like pinpoint drop shots. Ning, on the other hand, is very different. They have chosen to go with a very flexible shaft to give you whip and power. For me, putting a very flexible shaft in a head-heavy racket is actually quite a brave move, as I've mentioned in the past about the Voltric glands. Because there's so much momentum in the head and swing already, having a flexible shaft would just seem to be like an overkill and therefore also reduce your control. The weight of this racket is between 85 and 88 grams. In Yonex equivalent terms, this is basically a 3U racket. The strings used on this racket is the Zymax 65, but unfortunately the tension isn't really up to par because my stringer made a mistake and kind of strung it at like 22 pounds of tension, which is kind of atrocious. So the opinions given in this video will be like taken into consideration that the strings are not the best. So now let's talk about the many different types of technology used in this racket. The Airstream system reduces air resistance by 8.2% and increases smash speed by 3.1%. This might seem like a very cool idea, and indeed it is, because you're taking chunks out the racket and allowing air to pass through. That is very revolutionary. As you swing the racket, air enters one direction and is coming out the other side. And according to like physics or something like that, if it pushes out this way, that means the racket will be pushed over to that way. I think that's one of the Newton's laws. This therefore leads to like a faster swing and like greater momentum. Having such a cool, innovative design also comes with like some sacrifices. On a power-oriented racket, such as this racket and like the Voltric series by Yonex, it is like sensible for them to put a very solid core to give you that punchy feeling to make up for that head-heavy balance. By removing loads and loads of material from the racket frame, you're 1. Weakening it, so clashing the racket would be very dangerous. And number 2, you kind of lose out on that solid punch and torque is therefore increased a bit. When you hit off-center hits, it wouldn't be as clean as like the Voltric Z Force 2. This one would be slightly struggling in the areas when you miss hit on the sides, because the lack of material in the racket frame just simply cannot hold up to like the unexpected forces on wrong parts of the racket. But for the rest of the racket, Ning has included something called the Bio Inner Core. It's basically like the solid feel core from Yonex, but in my opinion, the solid feel core by Yonex is a bit better, it's a bit more punchier. This one is a bit mushier, but this might just be the fact that there's holes on the racket and basically quite a large chunk is removed. So if you put your finger on the racket frame and run it down like this, you'll notice that on the tops and the bottoms of the racket that the frame is a bit more box framed and is a bit flatter, and as you reach down to the middle, it gets a bit rounder. The box frame allows for a bit more power, whereas the round bit allows a bit more flex, so you can get that whip. Ning has put something called the dynamic optimum frame in this, where they kind of balance all the different materials in this thing to give you like a larger sweet spot, so you have a higher chance of hitting a clean, powerful shot. So as I said, the Airstream system adds a bit more torque, so Ning put out something called the Aero beam system to kind of strengthen the racket and to hopefully reduce the torque. It is also meant to reduce air resistance, which is basically good things for the racket, but in my opinion, it's not enough to counter the loss made by the Airstream system. The things on like the middle part of the racket, where I said it flexes, is called the wing stabilizers. It allows for fast recovery, so after you hit the shot, the racket will return to its original shape very quickly, and that's very important. It is also meant to reduce torque and vibrations. This racket has something called the UHB shaft. So, as you might know, when you swing the racket actually flexes before you hit, and that is whip and that gives you power. As you might know, the more flexible a racket is, the less control it will have. This is because if your grip is here, okay, so your hand is there, and your racket flexes back like this, imagine like the bending point is around here. You'll be hitting the shuttle late by, I don't know exactly how much, but it's quite a big distance. So the UHB shaft raises that flex point higher, which means you wouldn't be taking the shuttle as late, and therefore means the loss of control wouldn't be as drastic. On the shaft as well, if you look here, it says stabilized torsion angle. This is basically an area where it's very elastic, and it allows for the racket to absorb torque. So as you can see, Ning is trying to put loads and loads of different systems to reduce the torque that is added by the Airstream system. This racket, the Airstream N99, has fairly new technology when it comes to this thing, so you can't really blame Ning for not making like a perfect racket. I'm pretty sure in the future they will definitely improve on this and make it slightly better. The material in this racket is called the TB Nano Power Tech. It is basically nanotechnology implemented into graphite to make it a lot thinner and also a lot lighter, but still maintaining that same level of strength. So now let's talk about the actual play of feather shuttles. When I first started playing with it, I was very skeptical about the Airstream system, but as soon as I hit my first smash, it was clear and evident that this system has increased my swing speed by quite a bit. With the added flex, it literally felt like I was whipping the air in half and splitting it. The smash speed was incredible, and all my friends said that, oh my gosh, this racket is just legendary. Like, no one can return that smash. But one thing that it really lacked was that solid punch, so control wasn't always there. It really kind of lacked the solid punch, so control wasn't there. So I decided to play with this racket for a few more weeks and try to get used to it. And I discovered even after getting used to the racket, it still doesn't have that kind of punch. So that means it's not me being like not used to the racket, and it is actually the fact that the Airstream system is hindering the solid punch. You can also kind of blame it on the slightly loose strings, and I already taken that into account. So yeah, this opinion will also apply to like higher string tensions. Clairs are fairly similar, because like they're overhead shots that require a bit of power. You can get the shuttle from end to end effortlessly, and yeah, it just really lacks that kind of feel, and that is something that I really do not like. Drop shots, it's fine because you're not using quite a lot of power. The racket isn't really flexing a lot, so it's decently controlled. It's not anything special, but it's fine. But you can still kind of feel the Airstream system working. You can feel it kind of rushing forward, so you get a slightly steeper angle when you drop. Drives was really good. It's very quick, and the flex just makes it very fun to do. This racket was surprisingly quick for like drives and stuff, considering it's head heavy. Net shots, they're just average. I don't expect anything extraordinary because head heavy rackets aren't the best for net shots and control like that. Head heavy rackets, unlike like even balance or headlight rackets, aren't really expected to do amazing at the net. This racket is fine at the net, but don't expect anything extraordinary. Lifts and other defense was very good. The Airstream system not only works above the head, it also works sideways as well, so that means you can get to the shuttle fairly quickly. But of course, you'll not be taking advantage of the system as much as an overhead shot, because the swing is much longer when it's above the head, and that allows for more air to pass through to push the racket. Backhand was fine, it's not anything extraordinary, but it did lack that control that I was really hoping for. So now let's talk about plastic shuttles. With this racket, I'm just gonna say, if you want to play with plastic shuttles, just don't buy this, please. Like, it's so flexible, and it has that kind of mushy feeling from the Airstream system. If you want to play with plastic shuttles, but you still kind of want a flexible, whippy racket, then go for the Airstream 77. It's my favorite racket of all time so far, like even on top of the Z Force 2, which I rated the best racket of all time like a few months ago. If you haven't seen the review of the Airstream 77, make sure you click the link in the description below. It's a very in-depth one, and yeah, it's awesome. If you also want me to do a comparison between the Voltrix Z Force 2 and the Airstream 77, then make sure you go onto the Airstream review and comment that below in the comment section, and also like the video. YouTube has been cutting our funds quite a lot lately, and it is very difficult for us YouTube creators to kind of stay on top of the budget and make these videos for you guys. The reason that I do these videos is because I really like the sport of badminton, and I really want to share it with people. So as you might know, filming these like very nice reviews and other videos like that with these expensive rackets actually take quite a lot of money out of my pocket. So I decided that I'll start uploading some exclusive content on Patreon. Patreon is basically a website where you guys can donate any amount, like ranging from $1 to like whatever you want. And I kind of set different rewards, so if you want to be on a personal Skype call with me or get a handwritten signed letter by me, at different amounts on that website. It can be found in the link in the description too. So yeah, I'll be most probably posting that comparison of the Astrox and the Voltric on that website. Thank you everyone for the support and understanding that I have exams for school and that's why I can't be uploading as much. It really means a lot to me that you guys understand this. Comment down below what review you'd like to see next. I have the Arc Saber 11 and the Voltric FB coming up pretty soon, so just tell me which order to put it. Also, I haven't forgotten about the Aeros 2 review, so I'll be making that pretty soon too. If you want another review pretty soon, please help to get this video to 200 likes. Please like, subscribe, and tell everyone about my channel. Bye bye!